Welcome back to the Educational Currency Podcast. I'm Chris Kalodikis from Maximum Education.
I'm Robert Naumoski from the Coaching College and Ultimate Jiu-Jitsu. And today we have a very special guest, a good friend of mine, Mr. Nick Boskovski. How you been, sir?
Very well. Thank you for having me.
Pleasure. And what we're bringing across today, he's very experienced in English and has his own unique way of teaching it. He's had really great results from the school he worked at, and then recently he got promoted to coordinator of the whole region in English. So it's quite exciting time for us to actually pick his brain apart. And so Nick, tell us a little bit about yourself.
Well, I'll just clarify that what I've been teaching to begin with.
Just keep talking.
Teaching to begin with, and then after teaching, I became an English coordinator, and then from an English coordinator, I started specialising in English across a system of education, and now I've gone into, mentoring teachers as well, and that's a bit of my journey.
That's excellent, Nick, and obviously showing multiple levels of experience. You've been in the classroom, you've looked after teachers in a faculty, and then you've looked after different schools, faculties, and assisting their leaders. And so that's amazing. And then your next step's pretty much going to be you're looking now after other departments outside of English in that new role.
Yes, absolutely. And what you find with all schools is that every single school has their great teachers. And what's common across these great teachers is that passion and enthusiasm for teaching and learning, and not just teaching themselves, but learning themselves from their students, from their peers, and that care factor which comes across that everyone wants for their child as their teacher.
It's really, the foundation, that we feel that when we put our kids into a specific classroom, the teacher's going to look after them to the best of their ability. So I guess I'm going to start, this might be a bit of a debate or a contentious issue, but we've got a maths expert here and an English expert here. What makes teaching English great?
The ability to pick apart people like Rob here, maths teachers, and understand what they're going to say next and ask questions and understand who they are before they kind of understand who they are.
Yes.
And all the text I've read allows me to be able to do this. And his next question is going to be something about maths being so great and English not being as good. Actually,
to tell you the truth, maths is great, but then at 19 years old, I wanted to talk to intelligent girls. So all those English books, I had to go back and read them. And actually, truth be told, we became friends recently, and even he made me go back and read 1984, George Orwell.
Yeah, well, that's not going to get you girls.
No, I'm happily, happily married now, very loving wife, 3 kids.
And that was definitely not my intentions.
No. It worked. Thank you, George Orwell.
It might make you depressed or something like that. But of course, it will allow you to gain an insight into different periods in history, and also understand people and the struggles they went through. Your parents, and not yours so much, have come from countries that shared similar, experiences as George Orwell. And I guess yourself and myself can relate to some of the things he writes about, which is interesting. And that, going back to the original question, is what makes English great, that everyone, no matter what their life experiences are, there's a text out there that captures who they are in some respect, and actually takes it further and actually allows you to see some possibilities beyond your own life that your life may have been or could have been like, and allows you to, get into that area of imagination. I
have to admit, for myself, it was Dostoevsky.
Yeah,
absolutely. That was
the Brothers Karamazov.
Yeah,
or the Idiot.
Brothers Karamazov.
Okay, as long as not the Idiot.
No, the Idiot was a bit much. Oh, that wasn't too bad. Brothers Karamazov, Crime and Punishment was good.
Yes.
But in your case, when did you decide, okay, I'm going to be a teacher? Was there a turning point? Was there a teacher in your life? Or was there a moment that you can pinpoint to, especially for people listening to that are thinking of teaching as a profession?
Well, this might sound a bit weird, but while at school, being a student, and might sound a bit arrogant too, I had my English and I thought I could do a better job than they could. So I said, okay, let's give this a go. And it started off, that you guys might be familiar with, peer support.
Yeah.
And actually mentoring younger kids. And I was very good at that at a young age, and I thought, this doesn't feel like a job, and if I could do this for the rest of my life where it's not a job and it's just working with people and making their lives better, this is easy and I get paid for it.
Nice.
That's pretty cool.
So it was basically in high school you knew. Coming out of high school, year 12, you knew this is, I'm going to step into teaching.
Yeah. I actually said it to my maths teacher, funnily enough.
There you go.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
She asked me, what do you want to be? I said, I wanted to be an English teacher. Not an English teacher, just a teacher. I didn't know what a teacher wanted to be at that stage. And she swore at me and said, why do you want to do that? You want to deal with kids like this in the classroom and outside class? And I was shocked with the swearing to begin with. But then I realised that for some people it may be difficult, but for me, it's not. And it comes quite naturally, and that rapport with other people, it's great. Spending a whole day with so many different types of people and a diverse range of students, especially at the schools I've taught at, the variety of students we get is fantastic, and you get to see people's lives, not just through text, but people.
Yeah. And I guess rapport is foundational, and that brings me to my next question. What does your classroom look like? How do you work on that rapport with your student, and how do you get the best out of them? What does it look like being in Mr. Boskovski's class?
Well, one thing I pride myself on is I don't change much. At home, here, in the classroom, I'm much the same. The way I treat you is the way I treat my students. The way I treat other people is the way I treat my students. I'm the same person. I'm pretty fair. I'm pretty open. I call a spade, and whatever the issue may be, whatever the subject may be, I'm just pretty open to discussions and treat people with respect, and they treat me with respect. There's a bit of, I guess, banter and a few jokes that are thrown around, and hopefully the more intelligent students can give back as good as they get, and if they can't, they're going to have to work on their material. So it's quite relaxed, but it's intense simultaneously, where expectations are high, standards are high. You've got to come to the party, so to speak, otherwise you'll fall behind.
Yeah.
So in your case, especially mentoring teachers, and with our podcast, we're looking at developing teachers and getting more into the profession. In your opinion, right at the beginning of a teaching profession, what makes or breaks a teacher, if you could pinpoint to one thing from your experience?
Passion and caring. Now, you might face some adversity to begin with and deal with some problematic children or staff members or whatever it may be. But if you maintain that passion and, I guess, that commitment to caring for other people, it's worth it in the end. Monetarily, no. It's not worth it. But intrinsically, what it offers in terms of happiness in watching other people be happy with achievements, and I'm not talking about people getting 90% plus. Sometimes a pass is better than a 90%. And I've seen that in one of my classes where I'll tell you a story that there's a boy in my class that when I was handing back assessments and I watched him look at his assessment, and he went, yes, and he was really excited about his assessment. And I went, what mark did he actually get? And I looked back at his mark, and he passed, and that's all he got. And that was, and I'm telling you the story because it's one of the better achievements I've had in my class. It's just a pass, and I've had obviously some really good results, but that is up there with the best of them.
Yeah. Wow.
So your humanity, being a human.
Yeah.
I am a humanist.
So getting in touch, having that intuitive sense of actually human. We all interact with each other. Generally you do want better for the person next to you, and then you find ways to build them up. But coming from an early teacher, where do you think they go wrong? What would be the one mistake you could tell a beginner teacher to really watch out for? Because it is, they say, 60% leave the profession in 5 years.
Yeah.
Other teachers can be a problem. Other teachers who are, I guess, disenchanted. Other teachers who do not have the passion. It's who you surround yourself with. Go find those good teachers. Go find those people at your school that actually care, and learn from them and work with them. Stay away from the negative people, because it'll just make your day worse, and you're not going to learn much from them if it's always complaining. And that's the best advice I could give to beginning teachers. Stay with those teachers that care. See what they're doing, see what their success is, and see who you are in comparison and be yourself. Don't try to imitate them. Bring the best out of yourself.
Yeah, that's it. Align yourselves with those who can still see the fire and passion and pretty much in directions where you want to go in your career and, follow that pathway through mentorship and support, which obviously you give. One thing I want to raise, and this comes down to English, and obviously, once again, a contentious issue between maths and English.
He's the expert.
he is the English expert. But English is the only mandatory subject from 7 to 12 doing a HSC. It is the only mandatory subject there is. And with that, obviously, comes challenges because it's not everyone's strength. How does that affect you as a teacher, and how do you support then those students where English isn't their passion, but they need it if they're going to get a good HSC? What do you recommend there? What strategies would you be talking to there? How do you support those students and, I guess, ignite that passion in them?
Well, there's many facets to your question.
Yeah.
How would others ignite them? It's on an individual basis. How do I ignite them? Build that rapport that you mentioned before.
Yeah.
Find out what they're interested in. Find out what you're interested in. Let them know a bit about you, who you are. Don't close yourself off. Make sure they understand that you're fallible too, that you're not perfect. There's flaws in you, and you haven't always been great. There might be some things that you're not good at, and share that journey with them. And I guess they'll be learning from you, but also learning about themselves. And getting students to work for you, the secret, if there is one, is trust. If they learn and understand that you care, and you genuinely care, and they can sense it. You can lie, and they'll sense it. They know exactly if you care, and if you've got their back, so to speak, then they'll work for you because they know you work for them.
Yeah.
And it goes two ways. That's what I've noticed. If I try hard, they'll try hard. And if they try hard, I'll try harder.
Yeah.
And it becomes kind of a competition, a healthy competition. Who's going to work harder? And let's see how far we can go this. Let's see what your potential can reach. Yeah. Is it a 60%? Is it a 70? Is it a 9? Doesn't matter as long as you're doing the best you can. That's the goal.
Yeah, that sounds great too. And ironically, you said it, that the dialogue with students in class and, how you can talk to them and talk them through things and show them who you are, which are actually skills you learn in English, isn't it? Those communication skills and all that. So, yeah, that makes sense. Yeah.
Yeah. And what do you recommend for the younger years? You see kids coming in from primary school, they're stepping into year 7. From primary school, is there certain things you're looking at for the English ability? Is English just naturally innate, or can you see a difference where kids have been developed, in a more positive way from primary school, where others have fallen behind? What are your experiences in that?
Well, the students come from different primary schools, bring with them different skills, and often you'll find that some primary school teachers are, I guess, more apt in teaching certain subjects versus other subjects, and certain primary schools might have a really strong maths group because they've focused on maths. And I don't know exactly what is happening in primary school, but I'm sure they are teaching all the subjects. But like most teachers, their strengths lie in different areas, and they come across, I guess, stronger in one area more than the other. And it's my job once they get there to push them harder. And the funniest thing is the shock they receive when they come to my class in year 7, because they're not used to the load, they're not used to the work, they're not used to me.
Yeah.
And the funny thing is, what's the right word here? I guess, I don't want to say ruder, but maybe the more abrupt I am, the more straight I am, the more they like you.
Yeah.
Especially boys. They tend to flock around that reality. They've had, and it's kind of a fact, female teachers in primary school, and having a male teacher is different, and it sometimes becomes quite interesting, just you being you and the way they respond, and they do find it difficult.
Yeah. It's
the transition, but they do learn very quickly, and they absorb very quickly too. So some people that are worried about how hard the work is, and sometimes they need it to see how far they can be stretched and pushed.
So what are your recommendations to parents in supporting? What way could a parent support their child, say, from year 7, year 9, or even to the senior years? You can answer that, according to the year.
Oh, it's pretty straightforward. It runs across all year groups. in English, you're studying people, generally speaking, and human experiences, which is a module in Year 12 that all kids do, runs across all humans. So therefore, even if the parents haven't read the text, haven't experienced the text, they can still discuss what is occurring in the text, no matter, even if they don't speak English. It's universal, these experiences, and parents can always be involved in English, can always discuss the subject matter, because the technical aspects of the course, the teachers can do that, and parents don't need to know that. But the ideas behind humanity, parents are quite capable of actually understanding, and they should be able to share those discussions with their parents. And often I ask my students, so who brought this conversation home? And often awkward conversations, and we have those in the higher order English courses like extension. And sometimes parents engage, and sometimes parents are tired and say, just leave me alone. But it is what it is.
Yeah,
That's interesting.
That must be really exciting too. You know, it sounds like in your classroom there's this open forum of conflicting ideas, which engages a very good dialogue between you and your students.
Absolutely, and sometimes, the truth be told, that I sometimes make up stuff that I don't believe or that is wrong.
Just to test them.
You stir the pot as well.
Absolutely, and absolutely. And sometimes, and if they can't spot the lie, or if they can't spot the something that I don't believe, then it's their problem. They should be focused, and they should be listening to what I'm saying, and not just accepting whatever comes out of my mouth. They should be questioning. They should be critical of what I say, and then I tell them of every teacher or every human. Why accept anything that comes out of their mouth? Question. And that's the skill I try to teach them. And I throw in lies, I throw in fibs on purpose.
That's awesome. It's a really getting to think it's higher order.
It's very important. If you're going to get a mentor, he's not going to be the almighty. You have to chop him apart into what is positive about him and what would I do different if I was mentoring someone else.
Yeah.
So that's what pushes us, the next generation to be better.
Yeah.
But now, from your career as a teacher, well, moving up through to the positions you've got, how does that come across the curriculum? What changes have you implemented across curriculum that you see, okay, this would benefit a high school kid or this would benefit a teacher?
The things I do aren't special, aren't unique, aren't groundbreaking. They're very basic. They're quite accessible. They're one-on-one teaching strategies that have worked for a long time, that everyone uses. And I just put a little twist to my little flavour, I guess. But there's nothing new. There's repetition. There's critical thinking. There's creative thinking. There's strategic thinking. All rolled into one. And these skills come from conversations, from discussions, and then the practical approach in terms of responses written, sometimes verbal responses in the form of speeches. But there's nothing new, because most pedagogy that's new, often, not always, often is just relabeled of something old or just a twist. And I too can maybe relabel what I do, but not really, because it's been done before. It's nothing new or special. It's just me. That might sound arrogant, but that's what it is.
No, that's fair, because I guess our teaching style usually is a reflection of our own personalities and strengths.
Yeah, absolutely.
And that's how we adapt it all, and how all teachers are unique. And I guess that brings me then to my next question, as you've moved into levels of leadership within English, where you're guiding other teachers who have different attributes and characteristics. How do you do that? How do you help a teacher, I guess, expand upon whatever skill set they have to become, I guess, a stronger English teacher in the classroom to support their students?
Well, everyone's unique and everyone's different. And I can't tell them or show them how to be me. That's not going to work.
Yeah.
And if you're going to copy what I do, it's going to look silly and it's not going to be you. But the idea behind it is, what are you good at? What do you do well? Focus on that, develop that, and then bring in some other strategies from other people. Me helping other teachers, the time is limited. The teachers I can help most are the ones that at my school that are young, that I have a lot of time with. they can help a lot more. Whereas if I see people an hour here, an hour there, there'll be small strategies, but the best advice I can give is be yourself, reflect and see what your strengths are, see what you've got to offer, and see what works for you and develop it and add more strings to your bow, as they say.
Yeah.
So, but now in your new role, do you think is it the same approach across a whole school, or are there challenges you're expecting that you haven't foreseen yet?
There are definitely going to be challenges because there's different subjects that I'm not an expert in, and the experts are there already. But there's commonalities across all teachers, and I mentioned a couple of things before in terms of passion and I guess consistency and being disciplined in what you do, and innovative, and many other things that people want to talk about. So there's commonalities between these good teachers, and I guess my job would be to, share these, not just from me, but from other teachers that are there. There's great teachers in every school, and if I can just tap into some of the teachers that I work with and say, look, you do this really, really well, can you just show everyone else how you do it? Now, everyone else might not copy you, but there might be one or two people that go, okay, I can do that, and I get that. And then the more we can share ideas and the more we can actually show our skills across the whole school, because every school that I've been to has fantastic teachers. And sometimes they're allowed to shine, sometimes they're held back for various reasons. They can't teach certain subjects because of whoever's involved or whatever it may be. But there's great teachers everywhere, and it's not just learning from me, it's learning from each other. I learn a lot from others that even new teachers I can learn a lot from, and I do learn a lot from, because they're doing things that are different to what I started doing as well.
So you could say, as a teacher halfway through his career, would you say you change as a teacher every 5 years, every 10 years? What was Nick like 5 years ago to 10 years ago to you now? And what do you hope to be like in 5 to 10 years' time?
At the core, I'm the same. In terms of repertoire, in terms of what I've learnt over the years, I'm a lot better in terms of content and skills. But at the core, I haven't changed much. With old age, I've mellowed maybe. I'm a bit slower and move around the room. I don't skip. I usually walk now.
Did you used to skip?
If I'm not sure, but I could if I wanted to. I don't think I did skip, but and bags are a problem as you get older as well, between desks, and you don't want to trip on those things because you don't repair as well. But generally speaking, much the same. Just I've learnt a lot from other people and from the things I've done with experience. Like HC marking, like teaching, and sometimes you try things, some things work, some things don't. And one thing I'm really proud of is that I'm willing to try things, even if they may not work. Give it a go. My teaching does not stay the same every year, and sometimes I lose my material on purpose, so I have to create new material, and sometimes it works out to be the same, but sometimes it's different, and it's refreshing, I guess. When that happens. It's changing all the time. Am I the same at the core? Yes. But I'm better. I tell the kids, I say to them, today is the worst you'll ever be. And the same goes for me.
Because that's what keeps us motivated as teachers. You get that fulfillment in knowing that, okay, I taught this to a point. Oh man, I'm sure I can do this better. You put the effort in to make it better. You see what worked in the classroom. You see the angles that you would like to try, fail, come back again, and just roll it out, and then see what angles you can take. But from your experience, how much of a personality does that take, or is it all personality?
In terms of what, teaching?
Yeah, in terms of presenting your material, I mean, you are the type of person that does progressively get better. Obviously, that's what you said. Is it a personality type, Now, you have done your psychoanalysis, doing your Extension 1 English. So what would you say from all that?
Well, I'm driven. I enjoy competition. I promote competition, competition within my students, competition within my peers. Friendly, of course, nothing serious, and a bit of banter.
Yeah.
And I'm willing to take on anyone. If you guys wanted to go, in terms of let's see how your kids, the same kids in your class versus mine, let's go for it. And I'm happy to do that because it's fun. It's a lot like sport in that sense. And the more success you have, the more I guess everyone's happier. And it's all about getting students to that point they want to get to. And if you can have fun while doing that, why not?
Yeah.
Absolutely.
And I like the way you said that there because, like friendly competition, but at the end of the day, everyone wins because you're all trying to push your best and get the best results. And especially at that top end in year 12 too, when it's really helping them get to the goal they want to be next year. I also like what you said before too about when you're learning from other teachers or other research. And I couldn't emulate how to be Nick Boskovski. But from what I'm learning today, there are attributes of what you've mentioned where I could try that, and I could learn it, and it might have worked for me. But you know what? It might as well. And then I've grown as a teacher too. So I think that's an excellent point as well. Going back to those successes and speaking about year 12s going towards the HSC, it's obviously a very stressful time too. How do you support the year 12s? Because it's not just giving them the content, it's the stress factor. And with English, it's just that little bit more stressful, isn't it? Because they know it's going to count regardless and that they want to do well in it. It's such an important subject for the HSC.
But to be honest, no. There's no stress in terms of results because all the hard work is done beforehand. You come to a point, and it's usually around July, August, where everything's done. And all you're doing from July to September, refining.
Yeah.
The only stress you have is the day of the exam in terms of being under exam conditions. But in terms of preparation, everything's done. Everything's sorted. My students, generally speaking, have work that should be able to get them very high results. Now, the factors that are unknown are questions, how they feel on the day. They might be sick, they might be slightly off. Those things we can't control. Both the controllable variables we control, and then knowing that we go into the exam feeling okay.
Yeah, that's it. So you help build that, like as long as you've looked at so many angles with the work you've given them and prepared them, hopefully that instills them with confidence.
Absolutely, and that's the whole idea. And you'll see students in my class around, let's say, March, they're still a bit anxious, and that's part of my doing too, and I want them to feel uncomfortable.
Yeah, some pressure's good, eh?
Absolutely,
yeah.
And pressure stays all the way, and then they need to learn to be comfortable being uncomfortable. And when they get to, as I said before, around July, August, they know what they have to do, and it's no longer me telling them what to do, they're now telling me what they want from me.
Yeah.
So, sir, can you do this for me? Sir, can you do that for me? No problem. Sir, can you look at this? And I wanted to achieve this. Am I doing it? It's no longer what do you think. It's this what I'm trying to. There's purpose in their work.
Yeah.
And they've gone from me holding their hand, so to speak, to them taking my hand and telling me what they want from me.
That's pretty awesome too, because I'm guessing that means you're taking on a lot of extra work that is at your own call. But if you're going to be a higher level teacher, which you are, that door needs to be open where the student is dictating the pace almost.
Well, that door never closes.
Yeah.
That door stays open, I guess, all the way through up until days before the HSC. And there's a common factor which I found with students that are achieving high band 6 day rankings, and that is they tend to send work up until a day or two before the HSC.
Yeah.
With all my students, the really, really high performers do that, and just touching all bases. And towards the end, they're preparing their responses and preparing their work with things that are a little bit left field. So they finish all the stuff that's, I guess, normal, and now left field stuff, and becomes a bit of an interest at the end. What about this? Yeah, that's good. And there might be, extending themselves at the end. That's what makes it interesting.
Yeah. And so they're putting it like themselves into it a bit more and like going beyond what they initially thought they could write.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And one of the funny things is, if you spoke to some of my students, the way they speak is very different to the way they write.
Yeah.
The way they write is extraordinary. There's some really good writers that have come through my classes, but they're like us, everyday people.
Yeah.
But they're coming top 10 in the state in their courses, and that's pretty special, especially when you got those selective schools that have the best of the best, the cream of the crop, and they're just coming from our local suburbs.
Yeah, that's amazing. That's
Absolutely. So that's so from your basically what you're saying is it's the passion of a teacher drives the student, and then you let the student develop into the person that they will develop into.
It works both ways, not just passion from the teacher, but also passion from the student. They've got to have a passion as well. And look, the last, going back now to 2021 and 2022, those 2 years, there was 2 students that were coming second last or third last. And one of them came second, the other one came first. And it was they were close to quitting, advanced. And they wanted to quit, and if they're watching, they know who they are. And at the end, look, I have to say I'm very, very proud of what they achieved. Not just in English in terms of the subject, but who they became as people.
Yeah.
And what English allowed them to do, express themselves, but also understand other people. And that's what English does, where maths can't.
Can't do that, Rob, mate. You guys
Maths gives you a higher order level of cognitive thinking, problem-solving ability that actually lines you up to be able to do that.
That sounds so rehearsed, but okay.
No, it's not. I'm not getting into debate with an English.
Yeah, look, English, I guess without English you can't do maths. But anyway.
Okay. Could I ask as well, stemming from that, with passion?
It's on.
It sounds like it, doesn't it?
We'll get to IPT in a sec.
No, we're taking over the world with AI.
Then you guys become obsolete.
That's
okay.
right.
So what's the point of you?
There's nothing to discuss.
I don't know about that.
Yeah. But look, I was going to say as well, with English too, and we were just speaking about passion, is there any particular texts that you think are great that you've enjoyed teaching with senior students, where they do kind of find themselves in English? Because I have memories of that from when I was in high school too.
There's so many. There's so many. I only teach a select few, but there's so many out there, great texts. And look, I'm going to say something weird. Some of the greatest texts that I've ever read was as a child. I love Roald Dahl.
Yeah.
He captured me at a very young age, and the disgusting stuff that he wrote about is exactly what I wanted to hear at that age. And I guess that's the kind of thing that gets people into English. Being there at the right time, at the right place, with the right text, and getting that child. You're not going to get, let's say, for example, Orwell, as you mentioned before, a child in year 4 with that text, but a kid maybe in their teens, late teens, they might be appealing to them. Roald Dahl's gone for them then. But that initial stage, finding those texts as a boy, the twits, was wonderful. And because I could relate, those neighbours that looked like them, and they were disgusting. But they're dead now. I know it's a bit morbid, but and they were siblings too. And actually, they were very wealthy. They owned 7 houses in the area.
Wow. And
one of the this is almost, it sounds like a Roald Dahl story. One of the houses actually been boarded up, and they died over a decade ago, and no one goes into the house, and there's so much stuff in there because they were hoarders.
Yeah.
And I've been in there, and there was books and boxes up until the ceiling. The whole house was full, and then there was in the backyard like a sort of underground I don't know what it was, with a little door that you walk down these stairs. Strange people, very, very wealthy siblings that lived together and I guess died together. But But anyway, back to the twits.
Yeah, sounds like that could be a book of your own based on that life and experience.
No, I don't want to write that. It might unravel some scars, and that's the thing with books as well. They can actually tap into your subconscious and find things that you never knew you had as well.
Yeah,
I'd say for me at that age was The Lion, the Witch, and the Wardrobe.
Yeah. Okay, so you wanted to go to Narnia.
Exactly. So you can psychoanalyze me now. I'm still getting there.
It's a bit like maths where there's just all these make-believe numbers. What do you call them? Imaginary numbers?
No. Complex numbers. Too complex for English.
Imaginary numbers. All right.
Oh.
We both have imaginary text. Yeah,
Imaginary numbers. Extension 2, you begin to imagine numbers.
Yeah.
What about Chris's text?
Well, Chris is writing a textbook now. You can.
Don't ask me about books, okay? I did most of my reading in Nintendo games, so that's how I got.
You're writing text?
No book.
Yeah, probably never ending story, but that was when I was a bit older. But when I was younger, probably like just the Mr. Men books and stuff like that. Yeah,
Mr. Strong.
yeah, Mr. Strong, Mr. Rush, Mr. Messi, because they were all right.
I like Mr. Round.
Yeah, he was very complete,
But as I get older, I have more empathy for him.
yeah.
Hey, I can change that. There is a way.
There is a way.
There is a way.
But funnily enough, that the actual Roald Dahl books, that's what my wife uses with my kids to kind of inspire it with them too. So they are actually fantastic suggestions for parents for trying to, if your child isn't interested in reading and all that, they're a great starting point.
Absolutely.
What are your thoughts on the Harry Potter ones?
Not for me. People love them. My wife loves them. It just didn't capture me with the with the wand, and it just wasn't for me. And I guess me, like all other people, and like the students, there's things that you like, there's things you don't, and that's okay. And that's okay. It doesn't mean it's not a great text. The writing's not the best, but it does capture people, and people love it, and that's fine. It's just not for me. And the different text for different people.
Of course.
Okay, not for you at this age, of course.
Yeah.
Not even me as a kid. I wouldn't have liked it, I don't think.
Yeah.
No.
So I'm guessing Twilight was out of the picture too then.
Twilight?
Yeah, that's the sparkling vampires.
I actually got my money back.
Sparkling
I went into that movie for 20 minutes and got a refund on the tickets.
Sparkling vampires.
Yeah, it was a big thing, and it was around the same time as Harry Potter.
So you saw the advert Sparkling Vampires and you thought you had to go.
No, actually,
My wife wanted to see those movies.
So Sparkling Vampires, they suck your blood on your neck.
Oh, I didn't know. I don't know. They were very friendly, but they were demons.
When they had that vampire movie, I was expecting The Lost Boys.
Yeah.
I came to watch a vampire movie. What is this?
A love story.
People were just staring at each other for 20 minutes, and I got my money back.
Yeah.
Oh.
It was weird.
There's a lot of brooding. It's sort of looking intense, but not much is happening.
She ripped, I reckon, maybe I can't say this on the podcast, I reckon she ripped off Anne Rice. Anne Rice wrote vampire movies, vampire scripts. I remember reading them in the 90s. Tom Cruise did the movie with Brad Pitt on it, the vampire interview with the vampire.
Yeah.
Then you had the Vampire Lestat. Then you had Queen of the Damned. And they were really good vampire books that we read through the 90s. And just seemed like a 14-year-old love story version of them.
Yeah. So both you're into vampires?
No.
It depends on the vampire. But I do like the horror genre. Yeah, I'm all right with that.
I liked, probably down your field, Mary Shelley's Dracula. Frankenstein, sorry.
Yeah.
Mary Shelley's, what got me into it was Mary Shelley's Frankenstein and Bram Stoker's Dracula.
Yeah.
They were the two books where I went, okay, man, this is... very interesting.
Yeah.
And then obviously after that, Anne Rice was good. I didn't mind that. She wrote them well. Obviously, I would not read Twilight because I'm not a 14-year-old girl.
Oh, it's a bit sexist, but okay.
I don't identify as a 14-year-old.
Sorry to any of our audience out there who enjoys Twilight, okay?
Yeah.
As you said before, there's something for everyone.
My daughter wants to watch it now, and I go to my wife, just let her.
I would watch it for my daughter. You wouldn't?
I
put you on the spot now.
I'd watch it with her.
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah, 100%. I'd do anything for her. I mean,
Just put some headphones in.
Mate, I watched that Elsa movie to death. I could literally recite the songs.
Yeah, Frozen's awesome. You would have done a bit of Frozen watching too, I imagine.
Just let it go.
Just let her go.
Let's get
Because you're at
question.
that age now.
Yeah.
So with your kids now, well, since we've moved into that, what text would you like to introduce? Or you let them pick their own?
Whatever they're interested in. I'm not going to force them to do anything. But the important thing is, I think, is paying attention to your children and waiting for them to be interested and actually pouncing on that moment. Because you don't know what's going to happen. For me, it was a couple of weeks ago, my daughter wanted to learn the alphabet. And then for a few nights, we had to start learning together. And then she's over it now, but that's okay. I'm not going to force her to do it. And if she wants to do something again, I'm there. And I've known that all along that, like high school students, like everyone, when someone's got a really strong interest in something, be there. And if you can do that, the learning becomes far quicker.
Yeah, I got a bit panicked with my daughter in year 6. The teacher gave her Anne Frank.
Oh.
And I went with my wife, is this appropriate?
Yeah.
I mean, I've read it. We've got it on our bookshelf. I bought a special copy of it. And the teacher gave it to her. And I went, but she's 12. This is a 14-year-old girl going through her journey that she went through. And yep, okay, no problem. Gave her a nice hard copy of it and went, okay, this is a special book, take care of it, read it, and off we go. So from your experience, is there age-appropriate books or you just let the person develop at their own pace?
Funny you asked that question because a lot of Shakespeare stuff is not PG. And students are exposed to Shakespeare at an early age. I'm sure sometimes in primary school, little snippets, and in high school as well, in stage 4. And some of the material there, there's murders, there's poisons, there's witchcraft, there's
Romeo and Juliet, like the whole ending's tragic.
suicides. Really mature themes in those texts, but we're allowing our children to look at those texts. But then again, you have to ask yourselves, I'm sure you two, and myself included, at a young age were exposed to some inappropriate material as well. And
Ethnic fathers.
I've turned out all right. I'm not sure about you guys, but yeah. So,
What, 9 on Elm Street, 12 years old wasn't inappropriate?
so you didn't go to sleep for a week.
My brother didn't.
No, the Exorcist was far better, I thought. I don't know if you saw that.
Yeah, I saw that. Actually, I did saw that, but I saw that a little later because they said it was the scariest horror movie you've ever watched.
I thought it was brilliant.
And then
when I
I
was
probably
young.
watched The Exorcist when I was in my 20s.
Too late.
Yeah, in my 20s.
12, 13 would have done you well for a couple of
12
years.
was Nightmare on Elm Street.
Yeah.
And then obviously Jason.
Johnny
Friday
Depp.
the 13th.
Wasn't
Yeah,
he?
when he got killed. That was.
They all have a similar thing.
Here's the thing with it. The teacher went, you read well. Yes, I want you to read this. And in year 8, she gave me Stephen King It.
Wow.
Oh.
Yeah. And I don't think she read it. It was quite a hell of a novel, but it was, like you said, it captivated me.
Yeah, it could also be used as a weapon, quite thick.
I think it captivated me because with my mates, we would go with our BMX bikes into the gullies.
Yeah.
So we'd actually grab our bikes and there were there's these gullies down Rockdale. You'd come into the sewers, come out of the gullies and you'd make your way out into what was then Franklin's. You'd buy your bike parts, put it together, steal some tennis balls from from where they were playing tennis, put it in your bike and then drive back into the gullies. So the whole scenario was like, well, this was it.
Yeah.
This was how they, get it out of the alien, etc. And then since we did, you probably did similar, our parents being ethnic went, yep, on the street, off you go, have a good time, be back before it's dark, it's all good. So you can relate to that story of the kids being together, having that friendship group, going through their adventures.
Yeah.
So it was...
And some of the things that I was exposed to at a young age, lucky my parents didn't see.
Yeah.
But it's the area that I lived in. And I'm sure you would have seen some things that were inappropriate as well.
Yeah, pretty much.
But that was, I guess that was the time, growing up in the late 80s and early 90s.
I don't think our parents knew what was going on.
No, they were busy working.
Yeah,
Yeah.
If they actually, because we all, as some of my friends will be listening, we all hanged out this one place around the corner from where you live, Chris.
Yeah. Let's not
It was
say about that.
it was called the Park. There'd be about 400 people there, literally, and it almost looked like a gang. Now at that place, you'd have some very illegal activities going on. You would have serious drug taking going on. And you'd have the rest of us were normal kids, just mixed in with the whole group of that. And our parents, I think that kind of shapes us in a way. I wouldn't want my kids to go through that, obviously. It's not something that you want to expose your kids to. And I see the school that I'm teaching at, this is what the parents are worried about. Because all those parents were there with us, in there. So they're sending their kids to a more affluent school, not to these schools where they would be affected in those sort of environments. But it does shape you to a point, you know, it makes you what you call a more street smart or more aware. Do you think how do you think the kids, is there a certain part of their character that misses out on that we had, or is it a positive or a negative? How would you judge it?
It's different. It's different. Positive, I don't know, because I'm not of this generation. They do different things that I don't understand. They stay home a lot. A lot of technology in their lives. We had far less. We had to make our own entertainment, as you said, and do what we had to do. I guess to have fun. And sometimes the things that I did, I can't speak for you, they weren't good things. I wasn't an angel, but my friends were worse. And today, I guess, knowing these things, I guess you keep your kids at home because you know there's dangers out there. And also the areas that I live in, which I grew up in as well, has become far busier. There's a lot more people, and therefore there's a lot more strangers. In the past, you would know most of the people. Now you'd know far less than you would know. That becomes an issue, I think, as well.
I think with the area I grew up in, it just became expensive. So that sort of immigrant class where the kids were just out playing while the parents worked were pushed out of the area.
Yeah.
Yeah. So now you do have areas that are like that.
Yeah.
You know, where I guess, you know, we had a previous guest on classroom management.
Yeah.
You know, Stoyan works with kids like that.
Yeah.
Whereas we don't get kids like that.
Yeah.
Our worst kid won't make Stoyan's radar.
Yeah.
You know, compared to that. So it's just I guess it's our experiences that have shaped us to who we are now, that I guess brings it out into our teaching, into the way we teach. So why would you comment further on that, or what would you add from your English flavour to that? When you read the books, the literary books, you reading it from your experiences would teach it differently to someone reading it from their experiences.
Absolutely.
But would the message is the message still the same in a book, or it's what you take of it?
No, it's not the same. And I'll try to explain myself. First of all, because of my context, because of who I am, I approach text differently to some degree. But it's also my responsibility to make sure that I understand other perspectives from other people as well. It can't be just mine. And I have to share that. And then also explore why we have different perspectives. And then once we've done that, look at different literary theory and different literary lenses, and then look at it again from a more, I guess, academic point of view, not just a personal point of view, and then see how, I guess, text can be interpreted in many different ways. But the sad thing is, I'm not sure if sad is the right word, but most of our texts that we study here are Western texts, and it would be interesting to see if we had some Asian texts, some South American texts, some Eastern European texts, some African texts, texts from around the world, because we do have some Asian texts and Australian texts, but a lot of it's from Europe and America as well. I guess a more worldly approach, because I'm sure the rest of the world has a lot to offer as well in terms of literature. We always hear about Shakespeare, but I'm sure that other countries have their own Shakespeares that would give us insights into their lives and a different aspect of humanity's culture and humanity's past.
Yeah, I think you're right. That's why I think, because of my ethnic background, I related more to Dostoevsky than Shakespeare. Mm-hmm. You know, it felt more natural.
Sure, but Shakespeare's themes are universal. He does, I have to admit, explore themes that no matter where you're from, you do experience. Love, hate, jealousy, whatever it may be. It's those themes are archetypal across the whole world. So Yeah, and that's what makes him great.
Yeah.
That is accessible to everyone. But my point was that I'm sure there's other great writers out there that we could study, but maybe we haven't got time. And maybe that's just the way it is in Australia, the way we look at our texts. But it would be interesting because the Greeks, I've heard, have written some good stuff.
Oh, yeah, we're all right, eh? You know, when it comes to philosophy and the foundations of life, mate, we're number one.
First it was the maths though, because they actually might have to bring her in, Dr. Laura Kotevska. She does the research on the ancient mathematicians and the philosophical approach. And she spent years researching. She's a philosopher at Sydney Uni. So Laura, we expect you on this show.
You're on the list now.
You're on the list now. Yeah, so it's very interesting. Even like you said before with the maths is locked in with the literature. So even the people who were, it's called Euclidean geometry. It's a guy that put the textbook together of all the ancient mathematicians. You'd have to be literate in order to do your maths, and vice versa. So like yourself, you could have swung and become a maths teacher either way, you know, with the English.
I did enjoy maths at school.
So you have to have the balance of the two. I mean, I'm a better maths teacher because I read. You have to read. I mean, I got to get into our debates and discussions, etc., and I'm always open to learning.
Me too.
And it's that balance of that person that you need. You have to have. So it's not all maths. It's not all English. Although some of the English department could use a little maths.
Yeah.
I'm helping.
Look, I'll admit, maths is more than 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and 0. Yeah,
But
there's
then
more to it than that.
It's that balance of thinking. Your critical thinking does improve with maths, and your approaches to solving problems, etc., analytically. So there is that. If you miss that element, then you're half developed. So even though, you know, I teach the highest level of maths at the high school, I'd read a book a month. I mean, we've done a review on a book, Matthew Walker While We Sleep, and it's very important. But then on the other hand, people who are constantly getting into the literature do look at the analytical as well. And I know you do, obviously, with your job, and we have interesting conversations with that. But if you don't, you do miss out on that level of thinking because you're not analytical, even though you're literate. So you got to be careful as a person, balance yourself out with the two. And find someone like Nick here, even though you're a mathematician, to challenge you.
Yeah, sometimes the irrational becomes rational with your thinking. Maths tends to be quite logical, but in our modern world...
Oh, not really. I could show you maths...
That's not logical?
Yeah, maths, actually, Einstein's theory of relativity, when it came to actually solving those equations, in the solving of the equations, they came up with a parallel universe. Solving the equation. I put that up with my Extension 2 class. So now, there's the maths behind a parallel universe, and there's a black hole. Okay, they did the maths behind the black hole, then they saw one. Okay, that exists. Parallel universes do not exist. And you ask the physicist, no, it doesn't exist, but the math says it does.
Wow.
So it does go into that when you get to that higher level of math.
So does it or doesn't it?
Mathematically, to solve Einstein's equation, it does. Physically, it doesn't. So you can solve a maths equation and show there it is in the formula, but physically we haven't seen it. If they do see it, because black holes were the same as well. So black holes, mathematically, there they are. These things don't exist, and all of a sudden they go, why is that sun circling around a dark mass? Okay, there's the proof for a black hole.
So it's there, but we can't see it.
Black hole...
No, with the parallel universe.
No, parallel for universes, it's clear that they're not there. Even when you speak to physicists, parallel universes, no, they're pretty convinced you will not find them.
Convinced or it's absolute?
Science is never absolute. Here's the thing. Very interesting in Oppenheimer. Oppenheimer, there was a scene that happened where the general turns around and goes, okay, if I release this bomb, you're telling me there's a chance that nitrogen will ignite and end humanity. And Oppenheimer says to the general, yeah, there's a slight chance. But do you think we should still test it? Yes, we should still test it. But you can't guarantee me. No, this is science, General. So having an absolute question, a scientist will never give you an absolute. A mathematician will never give you an absolute. They'll tell you, at this point in time, parallel universes don't exist. But the math says they do.
So do they, don't they?
They don't, for now.
For now.
Otherwise.
Black holes didn't exist till they found
Well,
one.
that's it.
So
Okay.
this is science.
Yeah.
That's the beauty of having that level of thinking, where it opens you up to, okay, whatever else you want to delve into.
Yeah.
And it's where that usually moves you into the STEMs, physics as well. Actually, my favorite subject was physics in high school.
Yeah.
Yeah, so it's good.
Quarks.
So any final comments you'd have for, say, parents in particular, watching this podcast? As a parent, moving on with children into high school, what's one thing you would recommend would help in the home? Maybe a library, maybe a book collection. What would you, as a teacher of your experience, give advice to parents with kids moving into high school?
Ask questions. Ask questions of what they're doing at school. Ask questions about what text they're reading, and open up discussions. Bring those texts to your dinner table. Bring those texts to, your family, whatever your family is doing at the time, and get involved in your child's learning, because you can help with your child's learning as well. And whatever they're discussing at school, I'm sure you can contribute and further their understanding of whatever subject that they're doing at school. Now, the technical aspects of English may not be the parents out there's forte, but the subject matter, everyone can get involved. Everyone's capable of discussing things about humanity and ideas, and English is all about ideas and thinking, and all parents can think and have ideas. Now, as long as now, sometimes your child may have conflicting ideas, and that's not a bad thing. And that sometimes is a good thing, where they disagree respectfully, of course, but discuss things with them. Ask them the right questions. Maybe even look at the text they're looking at and the novels they're reading, and read them yourselves, and then see what they're about. And then you'll have better questions to ask, and have conflicting ideas, and maybe compare your thoughts with theirs. And I think that's a great way to start, and also reignite your learning, but as well as your child's learning, and show an interest and continuing the conversation. And that way you can help my students as well do better.
Excellent advice.
That's excellent. And look, my final question to you, Nick, there's a prospective teacher out there who's thinking about coming into our industry, and as you said, although not so much as positively, you're motivated by your English teacher. What advice would you give them into coming into our industry?
Come in, and if you care, have a passion, and you want to help people. And if you want to do that, it's not going to be easy. It's not going to be a walk in the park. There's a lot of hard work. There's a lot of sacrifice. There'll be some days where it won't work out. But as long as there's a lot more better days than bad days, it'll be okay, because it's quite rewarding. And in the end, monetarily not so much, but in terms of your happiness and your well-being, it is really good.
Okay, awesome. Thank you very much for being our guest.
Yeah, thanks,
Thank you for
Nick.
having me.
We were really looking forward to it.
No, you give me a greater appreciation for English as a subject, and the discussion of ideas and dialogues. But a bit more respect for those English teachers now.
Actually, do get into the reading of those texts. I do enjoy them myself as well.
Good.
So that's our. So what else are we looking forward to on our podcast?
So going ahead.
Yes.
Okay. We'll have a few more guests on for the remainder of this season.
Yep.
Okay.
And we're probably looking at bringing a nutritionist in, bringing a physiotherapist in, someone that can look at the overall health of your body. We're looking at other professional people that do use education outside of an education institute, teachers of dancing, soccer, etc. So we want to have an all-around approach with anything to do with education. So look forward to it, guys.
Okay, thanks for listening, guys. I'm Chris Kalodikis from Maximum Education.
And I'm Robert Naumoski from the Coaching College and Ultimate Jiu-Jitsu. And thank you again, Nick.
Thank you, Nick.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you.
See you guys.
See ya.